On this week's update, Disney eyes a streaming future. Dexter eyes a return to TV. And Logic eyes a very pricey Pokemon card. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It gets so hard to do this on television as far as on video, just trying to figure out different ways to do this. 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow us, throw out some of those gaming stars at us, it is truly appreciated. Just want to give everybody a heads up. I've got brand new episodes just out about Inside Sports Fantasy Football with Chris Ardieri, where we touch on Dak Prescott's injury and so much more in NFL Week 6. Plus, I just finished an interview with Michael Weisenberg, and that's also available now on the Lakers Fast Break, where we talk about LeBron, the Lakers World Championship, and also the actual episode just shot that we recorded just after the Lakers World Championship, where you can hear me sing "We Are the Champions." I don't know if you really want to, but it's actually very popular right now. It's doing good numbers. So if you want to check that out, it's now available right now on the Lakers Fast Break channel as well. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He's our own man at Castle FPV on Twitter. You got to reach out to him there, or everything that he's doing as far as in his world is concerned. It is my good friend indeed. It is the man talking some Expanse later on in the show and Ted Lasso. It is Marcus de la Garza. And Marcus, great to have you back on once again.
Great to be back on. Looking forward to another great episode. And apparently we have some Ted Lasso beef. So I'm looking forward to this one, man.
I don't want to say it's a beef because you're a good man. You really tried to turn me on. And I really feel like the bad guy in this situation. So we'll talk about that on the back end of the show coming up here about Ted Lasso. But before we do, we're going to talk about a lot of great things, including Joaquin Phoenix becoming Napoleon for Ridley Scott. That's a possibility. Coming to America is coming to Amazon. Adam McKay's got a big movie lined up with a lot of stars. And also, would you pay $200,000+ for a Pokemon card? Logic did. And we'll talk about that on the back end of the show. Plus, we have our usual monthly update with our good friend indeed. It is Jessica Boggs from the TVRatingsGuide.com. But my friend, first and foremost, Disney, in what right now would probably be the most obvious of things to go ahead and announce. Earlier this week, they went ahead and talked about with investors that they now have a more direct approach, a more reorganization of the entire company, and how the focus, shock upon all shockers, actually not, is now going to have streaming with Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. Read the lines through there, my friend, aka Disney Plus, which is now the hottest of the three.
Yep.
They're going to go ahead and focus more on that, even more with content galore coming there, as far as even more priority on what projects they're going to go doing forward. How they were go ahead and just have tons of movies coming out to the theaters. This time last year, it was like wave after wave, month after month of Disney movies hitting the theaters.
They were killing it.
And they were killing it. In the not too distant future, you will see a reprioritization of that, because as the marketplace for the movie theaters is going right now into the tank, they're realizing now the value of going ahead and making streaming a priority for their company going forward.
Yeah. This is huge news. And I mean, you really set the stage for us there, Gerald. This is something that's going to, and I know I sound like a broken record right now. We've done irreparable damage to the entertainment industry with COVID and the way that we're going to consume media moving forward. And so this is the first major company we're seeing do some audibles here and look for a way out. And that's where I'm starting to get excited. We're starting to pump these streaming platforms. And as much as I want us all to be back at the movie theater, at least we have a company that's starting to look forward and see how we can connect with consumers year over year in the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. This is definitely the push that we want to see as consumers, but we hope that the money stays there with it. I know, you know, as well as I do, Gerald, that piracy is a killer. And I know it's easy for all of us to kind of, you know, sit back and laugh about it, but I worry about how the streaming platforms will fare moving forward if piracy becomes an even bigger issue than it already is.
Well, it's kind of a big issue now. I mean, there isn't anything that comes to DVD or Blu-ray or streaming that people can't already get through various means, I'm assuming, because of the fact that there's so much out there, because it's all electronic. I mean, you can go to YouTube right now and you can see things that are just aired, and you can see the segments of it already on YouTube. So I'm assuming they're getting the whole thing, episodes or movies or whatnot, just like that. So you can obviously get this out there if you really want to search for it. But if you want to do things like going ahead and getting Netflix, going ahead and getting Disney Plus, I mean, that would help support those companies. I'm concerned about the volume of movies. That's what I'm concerned about, because there's only going to be so many dollars to go around. Yes, Netflix is still spending up to $200 million on movies. And we'll talk about one here coming up in a bit. But how many of these projects do they have in the queue? Disney, same thing. Disney will be spending 100, 150, possibly $200 million for some movies that are going to Disney Plus. And in fact, I'm sure Soul probably costs anywhere from $75 to $100 million, maybe even more for them. And that's going straight to Disney Plus. And that's not even coming with a $30 kicker like Mulan did. That's just coming straight up in December, which is awesome because I'm really looking forward to that movie.
Yeah.
I also know that was kind of funny because as soon as they moved out that slot, the Croods 2 moved right into that slot coming up in November. So it was kind of funny how one animated movie goes out and one animated movie comes in. So it's kind of interesting how that interplay worked there as far as that's concerned. Although I'm not sure if the Croods 2 will have that same kind of magic this time around, but we'll have to wait and see how that works out. But needless to say, there's going to be a reorganization by Disney. They're now doing something that is apparently obvious. It has to be obvious to all these companies and all these movie industry types and all these studios and all these different types of venues for these, you know, these companies. It has to be something that's just blatantly obvious that they need to go ahead and make streaming a priority. But there again, here lies the issue. How much money can you make off of streaming, and how much can you do it without jacking up the price like an exorbitant amount? Because we've seen already there's been a great bit of backlash every time Netflix tries to hike up the price, but people still pay for it. That's the deal. So it's a catch-22. Are you going to go
YouTube TV? People keep paying for it despite the price hike.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's, even though people really have a backlash against it, they ultimately end up paying it because Netflix is closing in on 200 million subscribers. Disney's closing in on 70 to 75 million subscribers, maybe even more after, you know, they haven't updated us in a little bit. I know they're at least over 60. So it's come to the point where you're going to have to really put streaming at the forefront of everything you're doing as a major company going forward.
Here's my only concern, though, with pushing the streaming. We saw the $30 price tag on Mulan, and I understand that for a family of 5, that's significantly cheaper than going to the movie theater, as well as getting a couple snacks, right?
Yeah.
But is that too high of a barrier to entry for most families? You know, would most families rather see a $20 or $19.99 title?
Well, that's the thing, though. Well, I will say this. And if you're a subscriber to the VIP for Variety, you got the inside numbers of what Nielsen was tracking. And Nielsen was tracking for the month of October that, for the month of September, when Mulan came out, that as far as the number of impressions, it was either at the top of Disney Plus or very close to it. In fact, I think it was at the top of what Disney Plus was doing. It reached the top 10, just barely sneaking in at number 9 or 10.
Okay.
And to give you the kind of impressions, you're paying $30 a pop to see it. So that's like generating a lot more money than whatever number 4 or number 5 would be, because they're just part of whatever free or whatever added option that is for the streaming market. Let's say like The Boys. The Boys was also in the top 10. In fact, it was very close to being number 1, and it's done huge numbers by leaps and bounds. But then again, that's part of the Amazon Prime service. You didn't pay an extra $30 on it. So what I'm saying is that it's right now could be something that we could be seeing going forward. Maybe some of the Marvel movies, if it continues like this, maybe like in the Eternals, or maybe Shang-Chi, maybe even Black Widow might be approached on that. It depends. If you keep on having to delay and delay and delay, at some point with a new reorganization that Disney's doing, they're going to have to focus in on and saying, hey, if we're going to commit to this, we're going to have to put some major league stuff on there, not just some great stories that'll intertwine with the MCU, actual premium content that would make people say, you know what, I'm going to switch from Netflix to Disney Plus.
Yeah, and just kind of echoing off that, Disney's kind of setting all these IPs and all these divisions underneath one umbrella now, and that's the media and entertainment division. And the MED is going to be responsible for all the marketing, all of the decisions on where these titles end up. I'm with you now. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see the transition of Black Widow off of the major screen, off the big screen and onto our local televisions. It might not happen until 2021, but with the rate we're going with the delays, it's going to happen December 2021 if we're lucky.
Well, you never know, because it all depends on what Kevin Feige and the hierarchy of Disney, what they perceive as far as when do they need to go ahead and continue the MCU timeline, and how do they need to span it out. I mean, they can keep on backing up forever, but at some point they're going to have to continue this timeline, because you see what's going on with, the show that actually is coming up on Disney Plus later this year from the MCU, as far as WandaVision is concerned. Yeah. That's going to tell one part of it. And then that's going to lead into mainly what Doctor Strange is all about. And then you've got coming early next year, supposedly Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You're going to have to tell these stories, but they're supposed to be meant to telling the stories intertwined with what's coming up on the movie theaters, or in this case, what these movies that are coming out. So you can only back up Black Widow, the Eternals, Shang-Chi. You can only back them up so far without having to say, you know what, we're going to have to put them out on some type of format in order to go ahead and have this type of cohesion and storyline to keep drawing people in to the MCU. You just can't keep on putting it off forever.
Yeah, absolutely. You keep putting it off, people are going to lose interest. It becomes an unwatchable product eventually. Yeah,
and that's the thing. I mean, people are saying, okay, you know what? We understand with COVID. We understand why you're delaying it now with all these movies like the Fast and Furious, Jurassic Park, DC. We understand right now why you're passing it off, why you're going ahead and pushing it down the road. We understand and get that. But you could only do it for so long. I mean, you can only have Wonder Woman 84 sitting on the shelf for so long before you have to say, you know what, it better go on HBO Max, or else you're going to lose a lot of interest. Especially the fact that with the Snyder cut of Justice League, that is, I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to garner a huge amount of interest. Even if you didn't like, and I know a lot of people didn't like the Justice League, it doesn't matter. It's going to garner a huge amount of interest, and that's going to reignite things. So you want to go ahead and have something to support it. So again, it all leads down to prioritization over streaming. And the thing is, how much can you profit off of it if you're a movie company? If it's limited, then you're going to have a limitation on what you can produce or how much you can spend on these productions going forward.
Right.
I didn't know if you wanted to add anything on there.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
I was trying to give you some dead air there. No, I honestly, I feel like I've talked this one through with you. We're starting to hit that point with the Disney updates and the where it's like, and this never end story, just what to do anymore. I want Disney to be making some big decisions, and they finally did this week. And I'm very proud of them for doing that. They're going to push the industry forward. I've been saying throughout COVID that companies, not the government, is going to lead us through this, and we're starting to see that on the entertainment side too.
What are your thoughts out there on Disney reorganizing everything as far as how they're going to go ahead and approach the future? They're structuring everything more importantly around the streaming outlets, obviously the Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and going forward, looking more towards a streaming future. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, I wanted to go ahead and touch on some more movie things coming up, because it's kind of interesting when you see a Ridley Scott film. Oh, looks good. All right, that sounds good. Ridley Scott doing something else, because obviously he did that great series, Sleeping with Wolves, and that's a lot of something that. He just did a great series that debuted on HBO Max that was really garnering a lot of critical acclaim, got a lot of viewers interested in what he's doing. I checked out the first couple episodes on that. I didn't get a chance to go back, but I will, because it was such a great series. Raised by Wolves has garnered a lot of acclaim, and he's doing a follow-up on it now, a follow-up type movie now, because he's the director. He's getting in his latter years, but he's eyeing an epic film, which he's done before, Kingdom of Heaven, that type of deal. I mean, That's one of Josh's favorites. You've mentioned how much you've enjoyed it.
I love that movie.
Yeah, you both love that movie. I think thought it was pretty good. But I will say this, that he's going to go ahead with another epic movie. Maybe he's going to have an old reuniting with another friend of his, an actor, Joaquin Phoenix, coming off the Joker. This time, Joaquin Phoenix will be playing Napoleon. So I want to hear your thoughts. I think this performance will break a lot of the stigmas and a lot of the perceptions that many of us have in regards to Napoleon, as far as what he did, what he didn't do, and how he looked and how he was portrayed. So I want to hear your thoughts on Joaquin Phoenix in the not too distant future, serving his time as Napoleon in Ridley Scott's next epic film.
I don't know why, when I heard this news, I pictured somewhere between King Commodus and the Joker, and that's what Napoleon's going to be. You've got a strategic mind that is second to none when it comes to military strategy, and then you also have somebody that's just a wild card when it comes to Napoleon. When you're talking about the man, and I am a history buff. I was a history major in college, and this is just one of those things where military history was one of my favorite things back in the day. I think I'm with you. He's a man that doesn't get enough credit, and he gets a lot of the jokes because he was a smaller statured man, but he isn't as small as a lot of people think he was, or he wasn't as small as a lot of people think he was.
That's part of the thing. His description is everything. It's going to break a lot of those stigmas that people have on him right now.
Absolutely. And so I'm really looking forward to this movie. So just the little bit that I've read on it, and the little bit that I've kind of heard on some of the news outlets on YouTube, is just that this is going to be a movie that's really more of a strategic mind's visionary, not strategic mind visionary, but this is definitely going to be a war strategy movie with a lot of personal touch in there. So you get a lot more of that feel of Napoleon, why he thought the way he did, why he did the things he did at the time. It feels like there's going to be some stretches made, but we'll see.
We'll see indeed. But I'm excited to see how Joaquin, one of the world's greatest actors right now, regardless of what you think about him on a personal level or things that any of his thoughts or whatnot, because I like I said, I have a tremendous respect for him as an actor, because I think he's one of the finest actors right now walking the planet. Obviously, he has a career that is very much revered and appreciated. And of course, his turn as the Joker is something that a lot of people didn't think was possible because of Heath Ledger's performance in the Joker, that no one would ever approach that type of performance. And he was able to do so in a performance that was very comparable as far as just the quality of it as what we saw from Heath Ledger. So I'm very interested to see where both him and, of course, Ridley Scott directing him can take an epic with it to include Napoleon? Is it going to be based off of Napoleon himself and just, how he saw things at that period of time? Or is it going to be him just playing a role in it? We're going to wait and see, but it is going to be something very interesting as Joaquin Phoenix takes up the mantle of Napoleon coming up for a Ridley Scott film. What are your thoughts on Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon? We'd love to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Another movie that's been talked about as far as over the past few months is Coming to America, the sequel to the big hit of the 1980s, which I was surprised it never actually happened or never materialized in the 80s or even in the early 90s. It's now being realized so many years later, but it moved from Paramount to Amazon Studios, which is kind of interesting as far as it's concerned, because Paramount is going to be reshaping CBS All Access into Paramount Plus. And if you were sending it straight to streaming, there's no better way to go ahead and start off Paramount Plus than with Coming to America. So I'm assuming this transfer to Amazon Studios means that it's going to go, yeah, it's all about money in the end. Absolutely. Maybe Paramount needs some cash. But yes. I want to ask you this. I mean, does this tell you also as well that Paramount is hurting for cash, but that Amazon right now is in a good position going forward to help boost their Amazon Prime even more?
Yeah, this is definitely going to just shoot Amazon Prime up even further. This is it feels like a play out of the Microsoft book right now, where Microsoft went and bought ZeniMax Media and Bethesda Studios, all that stuff. This feels like Amazon's going out and just trying to acquire intellectual property for the sake of acquiring and amassing intellectual property. And this is a great thing for them. Well, it remains to be seen whether or not it's great for consumers. But I'm going to go ahead and put my bets down on it's going to be great for consumers. This is a platform that's more. This is a more readily available platform immediately out the gate, and I think you can attest to that too. I can't think of very many friends that actually have a CBS All Access account. Can you?
Yeah. I actually have been able to go ahead and have CBS All Access as far as watching, because I know for me it's been watching Console Wars. The documentary has been a great watch. I got a chance to watch the series Star Trek Lower Decks, which was a very, very cool sitcom, 30 minutes, nine episodes, I believe. Short, quick, funny, to the point, and actually it ended up being a lot better than where it started. So I know a lot of people have not had access to it, pardon the pun, with CBS All Access, but they have a lot of Star Trek stuff there that a lot of people may be interested in, and they're going to have The Stand there before the year's up, as far as the whole miniseries, The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand. But I know it's not drawing in people enough. So I see the change over to Paramount Plus. I'm not sure if that's a great thing or a good thing or even a bad thing, but obviously CBS All Access, that didn't get it done. So they just can't commit, like you said, to the amount of dollars that Amazon and Netflix and now Disney is going to be throwing, and Warner Brothers with HBO Max is going to be throwing. So in this high stakes poker game, as far as streaming content is concerned, it looks like you said, it comes down to money. And Amazon's willing to pay to go ahead and put Coming to America on their screens, most likely. Although I haven't gotten confirmation that yet. But when you move to Amazon Studios, I'm assuming it's going to come to Amazon Prime in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I made this assumption, and I meant no disrespect to CBS All Access. I mean, and I say that with the fact that I subscribed to CBS All Access. Number one, so I could watch Console Wars, which was outstanding. If you haven't watched it yet. Number two, Lower Decks, amazing. I'm with you. It started off a little bit rough, but it finished great. Yeah, it's sad to watch kind of the intellectual property walk out the door for them, especially when Paramount's got some great things, I think, in their library that have the potential to really blow up over the next few years.
Well, they have the Mission Impossible. They have Star Trek. I mean, I know Star Trek as far as a theatrical success or lack thereof, it's not been to level, even though they've had some really good films over the past 25 years that have appeared, like Star Trek 2009, incredible film. I think Star Trek, the sequel right after it, I thought that was still a very, very good film, in my opinion. The third Star Trek didn't do so great for me, and I know it didn't do so great for Paramount, which is reason why that the Star Trek films are now in the limbo that they are. But again, it comes down to when Paramount gives up a property like that, which could be a good success, and gives that over to Amazon. And I'm assuming, like I said, with this news from Paramount to Amazon, that means that Amazon is going to be airing Coming to America at some point in time, or at least maybe debuting in theaters before it goes to Amazon Prime. There's no reason why Amazon wouldn't do that without going to that medium. It's just kind of disappointing to see Paramount give up on a property like that so soon, before it's ready to come out sometime in late this year, early 2021.
I think it was the original release date was going to be December 25th, like Christmas Day, actually.
Yeah.
But it's not only just Coming to America that they've sold. They sold off the Tom Clancy movie that they were getting ready to put out with Michael B. Jordan, Without Remorse.
Yeah.
You know, these are big properties, I feel like, that we're selling off by Paramount. And, I mentioned it with a little hand motion when you were giving the intro on this piece, but this feels like it's all about money. It feels like a cash grab so that they can start putting money into other titles where they're hopefully hedging their bets and going to make some serious cash off of to keep pushing the studio forward.
I think so as well, my friend. And it's going to be a shame because, I mean, there's a lot of people that really wanted to see this film. And I think they're going to be able now to see it on a platform such as Amazon Prime, or maybe even the movie theaters if it comes out to there. But it just seems like that Paramount Studios does not have the same aspirations or same thoughts on the film as what many other people are hoping for, especially because a lot of people thought that the sequel should have come out a long, long time ago, because the original was so creative, was so funny, and it was such a brilliant performance by Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, playing all these different characters. You got to remember, they just don't play one character in the film. They play several different characters in the film. So it just seems like they're giving up on something that maybe that I would not have if I'm running the company, because I think if promoted properly, this could be something that could be a goodwill hit for fans right now.
Absolutely. This is originally this is a movie that it crossed all sorts of lines in America, making a little bit of a joke there, but no, it crossed all sorts of storylines there in America. It didn't matter if you were white, black, Hispanic, Asian, it didn't matter who you were. Everybody loved that movie, and it was just a universal storyline. It felt like, and it felt like something we could all identify with. And so I'm with you. I'm shocked that Paramount gave this up, because this feels like a guaranteed gold winner.
What are your thoughts out there on Paramount giving up on Coming to America and sending it over to Amazon? It seems to me kind of a head scratcher. Is it a head scratcher for you as well? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, before we hit the half-hour break and my interview with Jessica Boggs from the TVRatingsGuide.com giving us our October TV update, I want to talk to you about Adam McKay, who's done such a great job lately. I mean, obviously with what he did with the Joker, he did a great job with that movie. And a lot of people now, he's a hot property in Hollywood to work with. And you want to go ahead and work with that director. And we see a lot of people that really want to go ahead and work with him. He's got this movie coming up called Don't Look Up. And a ton of people have been announced for working that are going to be working on that movie. The latest to do so is Leonardo DiCaprio. Also, Jonah Hill. I think also Matthew Perry, Timothy Chalamet, Kate Blanchett, Jennifer Lawrence, Meryl Streep. My gosh, this is an all-star cast. And Ariana Grande. And
Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi. Yeah, Kid Cudi also wanted to go ahead and be part of it. This is an incredible lineup that is just really hard to fathom that it's going to be this kind of lineup. But I think this is another Netflix film. This goes back to we were talking about as far as Netflix just shelling out the money, but how much longer can they shell out the money? But they've got really, with the Chris Evans movie that's coming out, they're spending $200 million there. There's got another few projects in the work that are really costly. Obviously, Stranger Things is going to be costly. And this film is going to be a huge even if it's not even special effects laden, with the cast members involved, it's got to be paying a little bit of a price there. So I want to hear your thoughts on this film. With this kind of lineup, with this kind of all-star lineup, does this get you excited as a movie fan?
Absolutely. This is definitely one of those movies that's going to be, I hope it's an instant classic. With a lineup like this, you Oscars, you people that are longtime industry folks. You also have Hamish Patel, the guy from yesterday, that I think a lot of people like to leave off as an acting talent. That guy's outstanding. But this is going to be a hilarious movie. I just from what we know right now, it's a pair of astronomers trying to warn everyone that Earth is on a giant collision course with a meteorite or a meteor or something. This is going to be a really fun telling, and it's a story that happens over 6 months. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm hoping this is like a 2.5 hour comedy. It's been a while since you've seen something that long in a comedy form, but it's time to laugh, man. I'm ready for this one.
I'm ready for it too. And with stars, like you mentioned, breakout star Himesh Patel, Ariana Grande, Kid Cudi, Matthew Perry, Timothée Chalamet, Jennifer Lawrence, Jonah Hill, Cate Blanchett, Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, the list is probably going to continue even further. It just tells you that Adam McKay is probably the hottest director to work with right now in Hollywood. And with that kind of success, you better make sure that you're going to go ahead and get this A-list talent while you can for your projects.
Yeah, this guy's not going to last long. Anytime he hits the open market, you better know he's got another project lined up.
Absolutely, indeed. What are your thoughts out there on? What are your thoughts out there on Don't Look Up? Are you ready for Don't Look Up? Because Don't Look Up now. There's a ton of great actors heading over to work on Adam McKay's next movie. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, we want to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about Ted Lasso. And also as well, we're going to be talking a little bit about The Expanse, which you saw a trailer of last week at New York Comic Con. But we'll do that coming up here in a few minutes. But first, we've got our October TV update with Jessica Boggs from the TVRatingsGuide.com coming up right after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're about to close out the show. This is PCC Multiverse. Want to thank so much Jessica Boggs. For those listening on audio formats all over, including radio and every podcast outlet, want to thank her so much for being a part of the show once again with her monthly TV update, where we talked a lot about all the unrenewals that are going on in television right now, which is kind of a shame indeed. But if you have any thoughts for her, you can always share it with us, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, or reach out to all the great staff and crew at the TVRatingsGuide.com. But before we head on out, my friend, I got some questions for you. We're going to go ahead and start off with The Expanse, which had a sneak preview trailer, which I alerted you of, which dropped at New York Comic Con last week, which got you very excited and very hopeful for their December, I think it's coming in December once again, season 5 release on Amazon Prime. Again, We talk about them.
Amazon Prime's killing it right now. After Jeff Bezos saved The Expanse a couple years ago, this is going to be the front runner for their sci-fi series. I just, how do you walk away from this franchise right now? It's hot. People loved season 4. Season 5 has a debut of December the 16th. And we're going to see some new storylines here. We've got some new characters coming in. Naomi's got some returning characters from her previous life. And Christian Avasarala, Shora Agashlu. Can never say her last name. I'm so sorry about that. But I mean, she's going to be returning to her character as Christian Avasarala. I mean, this is going to be the same cast coming back with some new faces and a storyline that's going to really test the limits here. You get to see the Rocinante fractured whole.
Well, I'll tell you what, my friend, it's a good story, The Expanse, that they got a fresh start on Amazon. They got someone that, or in this case, a network to believe in them when they were dumped by Sci-Fi. It just seems to be one of those cases where this could be something that, in hindsight, is 2020. This could be something that could have been like a cornerstone for them, a cornerstone for NBC, Universal, and Peacock. because when they cut them out, they were in the infancy of coming up with something like Peacock, or maybe they hadn't as of yet, but they gave them the cut. Amazon picked them up. They didn't, at Universal and NBC, didn't think enough of this show to keep them on for season 4. And what do? They go ahead and they, like you said, they kill it on Amazon. They get approved for season 5. People are very excited for season 5, The Expanse. And to me, it looks like a calculated mistake by NBC and Universal, seeing how Peacock, even with all of its options, both free and paid, could have really used something like this.
Yeah, this is it was mind-blowing to me when Sci-Fi let this walk, and I knew at the time it was all money based. CGI for this stuff it's expensive, and you're not seeing the return on investment because you're on Sci-Fi Network and not NBC. It gets hard to justify spending that money, doesn't it? It's hard, man. I don't know if The Expanse was right for NBC out the gate, but after they had one successful season, would have been. Have we ever had a TV show transition off of a lower network like Sci-Fi over to NBC, like proper NBC?
Well, no, but they could. It would have been on Peacock, the streaming service.
Well, I got that. But I'm trying to think of like anything that would have allowed them to maintain the property, right? Like, could they have maintained the property before they would have?
Because we're seeing that with Star Trek Discovery now, where it got season 1 got put on CBS because CBS doesn't have anything as far as scripted dramas or anything right now to showcase. They're just starting to go ahead and do that now, and in November going forward, they just announced that they're going to have all the scripted dramas come back slowly but surely. But they had to go ahead and have filler that they needed, and so they put Star Trek Discovery season 1 there. It hasn't gone over well, which is a shame for that show because it's so quality and so well made. But what I'm saying is not put it on NBC in the case of The Expanse, but I mean, if you knew you had something planned as far as for the Peacock network, if you already had some designs on that and you're looking for content, I mean, we saw Brave New World, that movie, come out for them with Alden Ehrenreich, and that was a special effects, somewhat laden film, a lot of green screen there, futuristic type movie, and that really wasn't that good or well thought of, and that's not something you want to debut your network with. You could have put a show like The Expanse on there. If you're willing to invest money, I would have put my money on The Expanse and having that go as an exclusive to Peacock, if that's the case, because you see, obviously, the effects of putting it on Amazon Prime. This was something that was one of those shows that was on the fence. It could have gone either way as far as being sent off into oblivion or having a strong enough audience that it could build off of it. And you saw it's done the latter. So I'm very happy for them. I'm very happy for you and the fans out there of the series that it's gone, above and what I think even Amazon expected. I don't think Amazon was expecting the kind of interest that season 4 got when it first came out last year, and we were talking about it last year.
Yeah, and Gerald, I got to point out, man, the big thing for me was that when we talked about this last year, my sticking point was think about all the things that Amazon can do for The Expanse as a franchise. They've got, Amazon Studios alone was the best thing that ever happened to this franchise. I would say, Sci-Fi did a good job. But I feel like season 4 got taken to a new place. The storyline, the writing was I felt like was a lot better. The visuals were outstanding. They did a wonderful job with the CGI. This was just a better package than Sci-Fi was putting out. NBC Universal was putting out. I'm happy the transition happened. I'm trying to sit here and theorize how we could have kept it at NBC Universal. I'm with you. They should have kept it for Peacock. They should have kept it for anything. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that there were some disconnected discussions happening in the boardroom where, one division was thinking about let's set up a streaming service, and the other division was trying to think about how do we sell these IPs off to get some money to build something.
Or cut costs entirely.
Exactly. Yeah. It's if you've got a show like The Expanse that was kind of just middle of the road for NBC Universal, why would you not just go ahead and cut it and save yourself the trouble?
There you go. Like I said, I couldn't have said it better myself. So it's going to be very head scratching. Somebody in NBC Universal may have lost their job over it. I can tell. Those are the kind of decisions that are made that people, they get you back on it. They remind you of it. They say, okay, oh, you're the dude, or you're the person, or you're the woman that cut that show off, then you know what? That's going to be on your ledger going forward, that you made the call on that. That's now a big hit for Amazon. And that's something that they're going to have to deal with. I mean, every network does it at some point in time. Every network lets go a show before it's time. And obviously, there are very few that go ahead and make this kind of transfer and find success. Usually when there's a transfer from one network to another, it's usually broadcast to broadcast, and you usually don't end up seeing that much success from it. Maybe a season or maybe even two, and that's it. But this is obviously one of the best success stories from one platform to another, and I'm very happy for you and everybody that likes The Expanse.
Yeah. Last thing I want to say, and I know I'm dragging on about The Expanse here, but this is going to be a weekly release schedule. I know we did a weekly release last year, but this is no, did we?
No, we didn't. You did release all batches.
Yeah. All right. So, but we're doing a weekly release schedule this year. It's going to be December 16th, December 23rd. It's every 7 days thereafter. I'm really excited about this. I'm sad it's on a release schedule, but I understand that the streaming market or the streaming services need to limit our consumption so that they can make sure they keep their viewers around.
Yeah, those days of binging an entire series or an entire season at one point in time is going to be very limited going forward until things get back to some type of normalcy, because of the fact that you got to have new content that you're bringing out occasionally. I know a lot of people were really mad that The Boys didn't come out all at one time, or didn't come out in large batches, that it only came out with 3 episodes, then it came out with 1 week. And they were really mad about that. They were actually review bombing because of it, even though obviously it's a great show. And the same thing applies with The Expanse here. People are not going to be happy that it's being released on a weekly basis, but right now, due to the production issues with so many other shows, they're going to have to deal with it going forward.
Yeah, that's there's no way of escaping this, and I hate to say this, I'm kind of grateful that they're gonna set the pace here for us. It's otherwise I'd binge it again, and it took me to realize, but yes, I'd binge it in like 36 hours last year. So
there you go. So yes, So for everybody out there, it's going to be coming on in mid-December, every Wednesday for you. It is The Expanse Season 5. I know Marcus is looking forward to it. Hopefully, he'll be able to give us updates each and every time out on the PCC Multiverse, because he'll be he'll get those fresh views of it each and every time out. So what are your thoughts out there on The Expanse coming back for Season 5 to Amazon Prime? Did you think it was a big mistake for NBC and Universal to let it go off of Sci-Fi? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, 2 last things we need to talk about. One is Ted Lasso, my friend. And Ted Lasso, you wanted me to go ahead and check out on Apple Plus. And I did check out a couple episodes. And yeah, and I told you we're good friends, my friend. And I told you how much I appreciate you coming on the show. So I want to go ahead and keep my words nice and keep my words decent, because of the fact that I want you to stay on the show each and every week. So
it just hurts, man. Not that you're hurting me. It's like sometimes I think about Ted Lasso as a show, and it's just like, wow, I just want the entire world to watch this, because he is such a wholesome character. He doesn't have a mean bone in his body, and it's a story about rebirth, right? So you look at what he did, and the story revolves around him being an American football coach for a division team football team. It's
going overseas, going to the UK, getting a premier job in a premier league, and obviously the pitfalls and craziness from someone who really has no clue what he's doing. And this obviously comes from the fact, and you mentioned it previously on last week's show, that this comes from, and this emanates from, a sketch that was done on SNL some time back. And that's the thing. This is another example of an SNL skit trying to be extended out either to a movie or, in this case, a series. And for me, the joke wears thin. I'm going to be honest with you, man. Okay. And it just, Jason Sudeikis, he tries, and give him more power to it, more props. But the British humor, I really get into British humor, especially with certain things and certain movies and certain television shows. I've really gotten into it. This time, I think it just, yes, we get it. We get the idea. You guys think he's an idiot. You guys think he's an idiot. Yes, you guys think he's an idiot. It's over and over and over, and it beats the dead horse. And they try to do the same jokes as far as him, like you said, just like everybody calling him an idiot, him not really just letting it go over his head, and him doing something to reinforce the fact that he's an idiot. And that it's something where it's a hard watch, my friend, for me. It's just a hard watch. Comedies in general, it's really hard to make me laugh. I don't know why. I don't know why I've been trained to do that, but yeah, it just really, with sitcoms and comedies as a whole, it's really hard to make me really think that this is good comedy. And I don't know why. I just don't know why. Maybe I don't know why. I honestly don't.
And see, you know, it is a comedy out the gate, but it's more of a dramedy for me. I don't know. It really is. To me, it's a story of rebirth. You look at a man who might have had success on one side of the pond, and he comes to the other side, and it's about him trying to find his way. I am with you. He does look like the buffoon at all times, and
it gets goofy. It gets really goofy. So it's hard to put that drama in there, my friend, and take it seriously at all, because it is so goofy, and everything that gets around it gets so goofy. The showers issue with there, as far as, okay, we get it, it's broken, or there's just less drainage, so we go ahead and we fix it. Now it's like a rocket engine, you know, spraying out and almost killing people. You know, we get that, it's like a joke, but then it's hard to take it seriously with so much going on that's buffoonery.
I do have to say, at the end of the day, if you're a fan of, you know, sports culture, if you love the background behind the scenes, you know, stuff that goes on in the locker room, this is, and a little bit of, you know, crass British humor, this is the show for you. If you don't really care about it, then I would say walk out the door, because
it's not crass British humor. I don't mind, because as someone who really appreciates,
and I'm not saying that was
Monty Python, you know, I appreciate so much, you know, as far as a lot of the British comedies that some of them that actually was on MTV in the 80s. And it just really, there were a lot of British comedies over the years that I've really enjoyed. It's just that it's again, one of those cases where an SNL skit gets extended much longer than I can appreciate. And I'm glad and I'm so happy you can appreciate it much more than I can.
It just makes me feel a little bit bad about my taste in Ted Lasso now.
Oh no, man! Don't see. That's why I was afraid to go ahead and, you know, you asked me to watch it.
But I mean, this is why we have these discussions and we watch these shows, right? Like we can learn about each other and what our tastes are. And you know, it's unfortunate that Ted Lasso doesn't scratch that itch for you. But I will say, I think there's a whole subsect of the pop culture cosmos that will love this, and but there's the other half But there's the other half out there that are probably going to hate it as well. So take it with a grain of salt. I would definitely go watch at least 2 episodes, 3 episodes. Give it your chance. It really spoke to me for some reason, and I don't know why. Maybe because I'm a buffoon at times.
Well, absolutely. That's what I want everybody to do. If you can go out there and give Ted Lasso on Apple Plus 2-3 episodes on there and tell us your thoughts on it. Or do you agree with Marcus? And I hope you do. I hope you agree with Marcus more than you agree with me, because I really want you to enjoy it out there. So if you agree with Marcus, hopefully you will. And even if you don't and you agree with me, share us your thoughts on Ted Lasso. I hope you agree more with Marcus than I do. But again, share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. But before we head on out, would you pay over $220,000 for a Pokemon card? Logic did. Would you?
Absolutely not. That's illogical. No, I look, I understand why he did this. This is the most perfect Charizard card you can get. It's rated a PSA 10. If you look on IGN, they've got an article on this. It's a PSA 10. This is definitely a mint condition card that nobody else in the world might own. And if they do, there's probably only a handful in the world that are probably still this kind of mint condition. So this is insane. I can't believe he paid $220,000 for it. But it's there was a buyer's premium added in, so it was $183 was the original selling price, and then by the time they got to the premium, it was $220. So this is uncalled for.
Well, it's not even the most expensive Pokemon card. That's the deal. There was a card. If you look at that, if you look at that article even more, there was a card that actually is more expensive than that was purchased by someone else, a while back. That was, I guess, a prototype card of some type. So that's a rarity even more. That was something that
200
I don't think it was a prototype card. I don't think that was produced to retail or ever put
Okay.
out on retail. It was a prototype card that was purchased for more than that amount. So that tells you the kind of money there. But then again, you're going to see this kind of action, and we're already seeing it this year from baseball cards, sports cards, basketball cards, other cards of any type. We've seen it from pop culture cards as far as going up in value. And most importantly, for people out there, if they collect them, Magic the Gathering cards as well. Magic the Gathering cards are going up and skyrocketing value, and Pokemon cards. So if you have valuable cards out there, my gosh, you better go ahead and start doing what you can to keep them nice, get that dust off them. Make sure you go ahead and get them sealed and whatnot and get them rated, because a Pokemon card that's really valuable could mean a lot of money in your future.
I do want to say just really quickly, hold on to those Pokemon cards. They're going the way of the vinyl record. It's going to be very, very valuable in about 10 or 15 years.
Well, come on, Marcus, $220,000. They're valuable now.
They are, but think about a original pressing Led Zeppelin 4 or something. Like the value on that's got to be insane. I haven't seen a value on, or seen an auction on one of those in a while, but they used to be outrageous even at that time.
Well, it could be like a Wu-Tang Clan vinyl that was only made one of, and that was, well, you know the story behind that one. But would you out there pay over $220,000 for a mint Pokemon card? We want to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, my collecting days have finally, they've ended in regards to Pokemon cards, but it was truly a great time speaking to you, my friend. As always, I cannot thank you enough. Any last thoughts for you on the way out?
Not at all. Just I hope you enjoyed Ted Lasso. If you don't, please drop us a line. I would love to talk to anybody about it. Hit me up on Twitter. It's Castle FPV. That's Kastle FPV. Just started a new job this week. I'm looking forward to it. I'm TAing some coding students. So if you have some time, hit me up on Twitter. I don't have a lot of time to talk during the day, but I have all the time in the evenings that I can respond to. So to my students out there, I'll see you tomorrow.
And there you go. A working man indeed. So go ahead and hit him up. Ted Lasso, yay or nay? Let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. So for Marcus de la Garza, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great